Hey, coming up right now, a bizarre surprise for visitors at a Chinese aquarium when they realized they bought into the whole whale of a story.
Also coming up, the shocking delivery in a school parking lot after class was dismissed.
A little bit later on after that, an unusual way one Brooklyn pizza joint actually saved a man's life.
Daily Flash starts right now.
Get ready for trending news and entertainment. This is Daily Flash with your hosts, Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. The fun starts right now. This is Daily Flash.
Hi everyone, I'm Andrea Jackson.
And I am Mitch English, welcoming you to Daily Flash. So glad to have you here today. Fuego.
Fuego. Is that like Diego?
We got to work on that. Coming up a little bit later on, I want to mention this because I find it so interesting about people wanting to find their jobs and they get these entry-level jobs and how much experience now they're wanting just for an entry-level job. And you can't, it's like a catch-22. You can't get experience, but yet you can't get experience because you don't have a job because you don't have experience.
But it seems like just a few years ago, people were like handing jobs
Wasn't
out
it?
because
Yeah.
they were just like, oh, well, become a CEO. Here's $100,000. We know you've never done the job before.
It's the adaptation, I think. I think what happened is that the pandemic, people started working on their own and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, now we need people to come in.
Yeah.
And now they're kind of changing. It evolves like that. But
Yeah.
we'll talk in more detail with that with Business Insider coming up in a few. Oh, and by the way, we also got a guy who is actually here, Maddie, our entry-level lover.
Guys, you know what one of the worst things you have to do is find a new dentist.
Oh, yeah.
Just started doing that. Yes, it is
So
hard.
my wife's
Not fun.
insurance doesn't cover who I had before, who I loved for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And now I have to go find a new dentist.
It's the worst thing ever.
That and doctors. It's like, but I liked what they did, but the insurance doesn't cover the thing that they did. So
And you don't want to pay out of pocket because it's so expensive.
No, it was $200 more. So now I got to go find a new dentist.
Well, I have a new dentist. I'm going through the exact same thing. So
We can get our teeth done together. Let me know who he is.
It'll be great. We'll get gold teeth.
Sounds like a Diddy situation.
It does sound like that.
Sounds-
Let's get out of
I'm
this
not
combo.
sure if we do. We need to call counselors in.
Hey,
HR.
There is laughing gas involved.
Yes.
So
It'd be great.
You guys travel a lot. Airplanes, the waiting area. When they call you in your boarding group, do you ever get perturbed when people try and cut in front of you?
100%. Yes, I think.
So irritating.
Well, especially the times where I've paid a little extra,
Right.
to get in the
to
line.
get into that pre-boarding, group. So American Airlines has said, okay, we're going to try and kill this, etiquette faux pas that it seems like travelers kind of subject themselves to. We're going to put a beep on the app as you come through with your boarding pass and it scans it. If it beeps, you're going to be forced to step to the side and wait until it is your turn to board. I don't know if that will stop people from doing it because I feel like people just become entitled travelers and like, I'm here. It doesn't matter.
And they play the ignorant
Yeah.
role. I think I didn't know. They said everybody come up.
But if you fly Southwest, you got to get up there.
Yeah, well, they're changing all
They're
that.
changing
know?
that.
No, they're changing it, but I'm saying
before
before,
now, right?
Yes.
you had to get up
That
there.
is true.
But they had the numbers system.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you the best way to do this is always to embarrass people, so I love it. I'm glad they have it. Let's
yes.
embarrass it. Let's make it so loud, or let's make different noises like, stop, Daddy. Stop,
I'm
Daddy.
an idiot. I didn't look. It makes a lot of sense, and I think maybe you should make your phone vibrate too, so you really know. You'll remember this moment in life.
Exactly.
I love that.
Well,
Okay.
and then it takes the onus off of the, a person who's checking your tickets or your phone or your app because
Yeah.
they don't have to be the jerk.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm for it. American? Is that
American
that?
Airlines.
Just get me to
Yeah.
there. However, I don't care. Just get me there.
Yep.
A Chinese aquarium being exposed by visitors after they found out the giant whale shark in their main attraction, it wasn't real at all. During its opening week, the ocean attraction welcomed about 100,000 visitors who paid $40,000 just to get into the park. Okay, I said that right.
$40. You
What'd I
said
say?
40,000.
I know I did not say that right.
$40.
No, wait. I saw 100,000 visitors who paid $40.
40,000. There you go. Like, you're really ripped off if you paid 40 grand to get into this
Well,
park.
to see a fake
it's the
shark.
exchange rate, okay? The yen is not what it used to be.
Exchange rate.
Moving forward, that $40 got you eager to check out the star attraction, a whale shark. It's considered the world's largest fish, capable of growing more than 60 feet in length. However, many visitors said they were disappointed after realizing the whale shark in the park's attraction was just a mechanical replica. It was Bruce from Jaws, right?
Jaws, okay.
No, it wasn't real at all. Now, keep in mind, this is the same country that was painting dogs up like pandas.
Like
Chows.
Yeah.
They were painting chows as pandas.
Come on, you make everything in the world. You can't, make something real.
They rip off the rip-off.
Yeah, 100%. $40,000 just to see that.
There are no words really for
Right,
this. I
agreed.
mean, what are you going to do? Really?
You're going to complain to the government? Sure, that'll
Yeah.
get you life.
That ends well.
Right, yeah.
You'll never be seen again.
That ends with you sleeping with the fishes.
Yeah.
With the fishes, right.
Bingo. A teacher in Maine had quite an eventful day. She went from teaching her students to giving birth in the school's parking
Hey now.
lot, all in a day's
Wow.
work. Tori Hildreth says she wasn't due to give birth on that day, but as her contractions became more intense, her water broke and the baby was on the way. The 30-year-old teacher had just dismissed her class, and about 10 minutes later, she was in the parking lot holding her baby with her mom by her side.
Wow.
Tori's dad happens to be the captain of the local fire department, and he was one of the first responders on the scene.
Come on, show and tell day. How can you?
I mean, it's the best sex ed you're gonna have,
100%.
right? Like, hey kids, watch this.
Who wants to cut the umbilical cord? That sort of thing.
Come here, Timmy, bite it off.
Kids, well, they'll remember her, and obviously it's a
Yeah.
great way to let everybody know you just had a baby. Your teacher just had a
They
baby.
call that a teaching moment.
A very teaching moment for sure. All right, we go there to Brooklyn, where one of the most famous pizza joints fired up a miracle for a customer in
Aw,
need.
this
Check
is
the
so
story out.
good.
When the owner of the restaurant learned that one of his customers was suffering from end-stage kidney disease, he was devastated. Desperate to help, the owner shared a post on the pizza parlor's Instagram page. It was the pizza boss's call to action that helped save his customer's life. Here's what happened. A friend saw the post and donated a kidney after test reveals that he was actually the perfect match. The duo
Amazing.
celebrated the remarkable journey with a new pair of glasses, and that's true. Those are really cool glasses.
They are.
And a newfound friendship, all over a wood fire pie. And if you want to find out more information about the living kidney donation, you can go and visit the National Kidney Foundation's website, kidney.org. And that really is all it takes. Is a lot of times is just getting the word out, letting people know here's what happens. I think people want to help, and what
Yeah.
a great way to do that,
Yes.
right?
And when it comes to organ donation, with this particular case, you got to be the right match in order
It's a big
for it
deal,
to
right?
all, and obviously the older you get, the further down the priority list you become. It's just the way it works.
That's how it is, yeah.
So sometimes people just have to kind of go seek out their own organ donation in order to get the to get the surgery.
And the way you do
operation.
that, I've seen like people put signs on the back of their car, hey, I need this, yada,
Yes.
yada, and whatever you can. And you can imagine if you're a family member doing whatever it takes to help somebody, or
Absolutely.
especially if they're related to it. So I love seeing that the pizza, is there anything it can't do? It's such a world-binding thing. I love it.
Did you see that pizza? It looked fantastic. I'd like to go to that pizza
I got to
parlor.
tell you, it's a wood fire grill, which plays a
amazing.
totally different taste
Yeah,
to a
there.
different
Look at
pizza.
that. That looks dynamite.
I was going to say the guy looks very familiar. Can we go to the control room right quick?
Control room.
Yeah, let's go to
that
the
does
control
look
room.
like Hugo Art.
That's Hugo. There you go. Right there. Where are the glasses?
Where's your glasses?
There- There we go.
Hugo, do you need a kidney by chance?
That's Fuego.
Apparently the kidney's working out well.
Yeah, he does well.
And he's made it to the Daily Flash. An exclusive members-only canine park is being called the Soho House for Dogs, and it is coming to Brooklyn. Dog People, I suppose, got its start in California and charges $1,400 a year.
That's actually 14. Oh no, it is 1,400. I'm sorry. I need to learn numbers. Go
For
ahead.
a membership, not $40,000 for a
All
daily
right.
ticket. It offers DJ sets, cocktail nights, a full kitchen, and more for yuppies and their puppies. The New York location is just steps away from an outdoor dog park, and according to the company's website, California members pay $120 a month to be part of this exclusive kennel club.
Dang.
Standard rules apply for all pups and their human counterparts, and they all must meet certain criteria. No laptop or phone use
Hey, I
allowed
like that.
after 6 p.m., and members must meet certain age requirements.
I like that.
Yeah.
Right when out in Oklahoma City, they have something similar, not to this case, to this extreme or whatever, how much fun you can have, but bring it to the dark. It's interesting how pets can bring people together.
Yes.
A lot of times it's hard for people to go up and approach somebody and
Yep.
talk to them. A pet can just break down that issue. But I'm seeing these more and more where it's basically you bring your pet and it's a bar, you know,
Yeah.
and you just hang out and let your dog run around, have some fun like a pet park.
It's like a social club
yeah, I think
with
it's wonderful.
cocktails. Yeah.
Andrea can do it. I mean, for us, we got cats, so
Sure.
That's
What do we,
Yeah.
They don't have a cat bar, do they?
well, if you bring the cat to a dog park, you know, you're asking for trouble there,
Yes,
right?
but they have those cat cafes.
That's true. Yeah, I've seen
It's
those.
like a coffee and tea.
We got some great stuff still to come. Some new information might be headed your way. Hey, welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Mitch English. You know, entry-level jobs are really not that entry level anymore. Some companies actually require loads of experience just to get in on the ground level. So how is this actually affecting the market? Well, here joining us to talk more about it is Tim Paradis. He's Future of Work Correspondent for Business Insider. It seems like a catch-22. You know, I want experience so I can get a job, but I can't get experience because I don't have a job. Tim, why are many entry-level tech roles now requiring actually multiple years of experience?
Well, the short answer is because they can. You know, you've got some people in various industries, particularly like tech, where they've got enough people out of work that it's easy for companies to say, look, if you want to come work here, even at this kind of lower rung type job, we're going to ask that you have already been able to do a lot of these things had these things on your resume.
And how has that shift really affected recent graduates that are actually entering into the job market?
Yeah, it has. And so some of the recent grads I've spoken to have talked about, again, particularly in an area like tech, have talked about the difficulty in finding work because they are competing against people who might have several years of experience. And as you know, there's always that catch-22 when you're starting out. If a company says, well, I want some experience, but if you don't have it yet, you know, how do you get it? So it's a tough needle for some people starting out in their career to thread.
I could see just that. And let's talk about some of the skills and even the qualifications that these hiring managers, that they're prioritizing for those entry-level tech roles. What are they?
So in tech and even beyond, a lot of, you know, I mean, in tech, there are specific things like, you know, do you know this coding language, or do you know enough about AI, things like that. But then even more broadly, a lot of employers are asking that entry-level workers have what you might expect, things like solid communication skills, ability to you know, manage their workflow, things like that. But it's, again, it's tough if you haven't had a lot of time in the job market to really burnish those skills.
Makes a lot of sense. And is there any justifications that these companies have to really show that increasing experience requirements for these entry-level positions is a good call?
I mean, I guess they would argue that, you know, the demands upon the workforce because of the fast changing pace of technology are greater than ever. So they may say, look, we need someone at this even lower level to be able to have a greater level of skills to bring to the table. But again, it may leave some people just starting out kind of shortchanged.
You know, diversity is such a big role when it comes to hiring people. What kind of impact did this trend actually have on the diversity of candidates in the tech industry, maybe even particularly for the underrepresented groups who may actually lack traditional experience, but they do have relevant skills?
Well, you know, it's hard to say. I haven't seen a ton of great data on this, but certainly it poses a challenge. I think you could say safely that if there are fewer opportunities and people who might already have some experience or be better connected would have a better shot at these jobs, then you can certainly see a scenario where people would be, you know, from these groups, these backgrounds might be further not represented well in the hiring.
All right, so this is what people are really wanting, advice. What advice would you give maybe to aspiring tech professionals that are really struggling to get a job? What would you say to them?
Well, the advice that from the recruiters I speak to, you know, that I get is kind of the age-old stuff, like make sure you're networking, make sure everything, of course, is polished on your resume and all that, you know, apply to jobs quickly as soon as they come out. But it really does come back to sort of networking. And particularly if you're in a, you know, say you're just graduating and you're trying to get that first job, look to your school, look to your university for whatever either, you know, externship type things they might have, or just relationships that they have with alums at various companies, or just anything you can do to try to get a little bit of experience. And then the other thing is point to relevant things that you've done, even if you had a part-time job or things like that. Some of those skills are transferable to a professional workplace, so it's definitely worth talking about those things.
Yeah, sell the sizzle, not the steak sometimes. Good advice. For more information on how you can score an entry-level job in tech, head on over to businessinsider.com.
Thank you, Mitch. And then there's this. We've all heard of a wait list for a hot new restaurant, but what about an Airbnb? Tucked away in the Scottish Highlands, the Open Book is a unique one-bedroom literally escape for any book lover. It's a charming bookshop with an apartment upstairs overlooking the coastal seashore. The listing describes the experience as living your dream of having your own bookshop by the sea in Scotland. I mean, has anybody ever said that? But there's a twist. Guests have to work the front desk of the bookshop during their stay. The shop welcomed its first visitors in August of 2014, and since then it's been booked solid. I mean, who wants to do that?
They're
Mitch,
putting you
would
to work.
Want to work at a bookshop?
It would be absolutely the most boring thing I've ever do, because we can just, if it has like where you can listen to the books, maybe, but who knows? It seems like if you want to stay in the Airbnb, putting me to work would not be the best thing to do at all.
I've never heard of anything like that where you got to go to a bookshop. I mean, more than 450 guests have enjoyed the unusual experience of running their own bookshop, and now there's a 2-year wait list for anyone who wants to have that experience.
2 years.
I don't understand that. Like, is it just this weird fascination with like, oh look, I run a bookshop?
Hey, here's the thing. I could save you a lot of money. Just be homeless and go to the library. Isn't that the same concept?
You could do that in downtown Orlando.
Right,
I
you
mean,
can do it
right?
anywhere.
Like, I don't get that. Like, that is not in my wheelhouse of things I want to do in life.
And more or less, to pay for it would be even worse.
It'd be better if it was running a pub.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, and free drinks. I agree.
I mean, you can run a pub and do the thing, but
not a bad thing at
bookshop,
all.
not so much.
Stick around. We're going to jump into Boss Lady. Andrea's talking to a pastry chef here that's made it big. And also, we're going to jump into the Daily Flash Test Kitchen. Something called a protein Diet Coke. Good or bad? Well, we'll find out. All that's coming up right here on Daily Flash. Today's trends, tomorrow's talk. Stick around.
Welcome back. In this week's Boss Lady, we meet a woman who went to school for psychology, but she changed direction when a friend suggested she try culinary school. Now she's the head pastry chef at a popular LA restaurant. Here's Chef Daphne DeLone's For a Living story from Refinery 29.
In my history of being in this industry, I've worked in both bakeries and kitchens. I've gone back and forth. In bakeries, there are a lot of women, and so it's definitely more like balanced in that way. But in kitchens, there's definitely more of like men and men energy. Welcome back, Martha. So every day, me and Martha come in the mornings and get everything started. She'll get started on the bread, and I'll get started on pastry production. We'll help each other out when we need it. Also, we'll just like decide on what music we're gonna play for the day. She likes rock. No. And Johnny Cash. I like Beyonce. I feel weird saying like, I love Beyonce. Here at Connie & Tess, I've been working for about 2 years. To get the job, I actually had to do a tasting with the owners, Chef Michael and Donato. In the tasting, I had to make a few different desserts to kind of showcase my talents and my ability to work in a kitchen. And the kitchen was brand new to me, so that was a bit of a challenge. I made a orange cheesecake with the kumquat topping. I made my butterscotch ice cream, which is still on the menu, so I adore that. A typical path and career for baking and pastry, and just in kitchens in general, will probably be like entry level, which you come in and you do production, probably earn about minimum wage, whatever that may be in respective areas. And then you just kind of like keep your head down, work hard, learn things, take direction well, and work well with others. And then you work yourself into a salary position. Starting out in this industry, I think you can expect to make somewhere around minimum wage. I've been in this field for over 10 years, so I am now at a salary position. Here at Connie and Ted's, I make about $80,000. In kitchen, you can do this job with or without culinary school. Of course, with some proper training, you do put yourself at a certain level to be taken a little bit more seriously. But honestly, you can enter into production, and if you work hard enough, you can definitely progress up to a higher position. I personally went to culinary school because I was just honing in on my own interests and seeing what I wanted to do. Everything doesn't happen overnight. You actually have to be patient, work on your craft, work on it at home. A lot of my knowledge is self-taught and practice. I'm also proud of my trajectory in that I get to run my own program here at Connie and Ted's. I decide what goes on the menu. So now I'm gonna show you how I make our sweet potato whoopie pie. All right, we are doing 255 grams of butter. Have to be very precise in baking or else your stuff will come out pretty messed up. For granulated sugar, I need 225 grams of sugar. It's nice to have two different types of sugar. It just puts a little bit more depth into the recipe. All right, now we're gonna just cream our butter and sugar until it's nice and fluffy. Now I'm gonna crack my eggs. 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Vanilla is very expensive, so a gallon costs like $300. When my butter and sugar is ready, I'm gonna add in the eggs. Wait till they get nice and emulsified in. All right, at this point, we're gonna add in our pureed sweet potatoes. We do get these in fresh, so we just bake them off really nice and then puree them in a food processor. 400 grams, 3/4 of heavy cream. We have all of our spices here. Some cinnamon, some ginger, some nutmeg, salt, then a little leavening, baking powder, baking soda. And then once it's mostly starting to come together, you'll add in your wets. Hands get a little messy. It's all right. The batter is all done. Now I scoop. This is a portion scooper. We use it for ice cream, we use it for cookies, we use it for whoopie pies. Of course, these will expand in the oven, so you're gonna make sure you don't put them too close together. But mostly they should just be going a little bit wide and up. And I'll set my timer, 6 minutes. I would make this sweet potato spice cake a lot for my family and for family events. And for my aunt, she likes it a lot too. So basically I took that recipe and evolved it into a whoopie pie recipe for the restaurant. A lot of times, if it's just only a few more seconds, I'll wait right here. Beautiful whoopie pies. Kind of look like cookies, but they're just a lot more soft. So for our whoopie pies, we have our cream cheese, buttercream here, which is our filling. Now that they've cooled down to room temperature, we can add our buttercream. So basically for service, how we would do, take a little Connie and Ted's paper, wrap it around, then on a plate just like that. And here's our spicy potato whoopie pie recipe. I feel especially proud of myself when I think about how far I've come, because actually being able to support myself full time with my job and actually doing something for a living that I love and I have a passion for. Oftentimes when I come out, they ask for the pastry chef. They're like, oh, that dessert was so good. Can I speak to the chef or can they come out? And I come out and they're like, oh, wow. Especially if it's someone who does look like me, if it's a Black person, they're very proud. And they're just so surprised and so proud of me. I almost feel like I just made a new family member in that moment.
If you are a boss lady or you know one you think should be featured on our show, drop me a line at Andrea@dailyflashshow.com. And if you want to check out our other boss lady segments, just head to our website, dailyflashshow.com.
This is Daily Flash with your hosts, Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. Trending news and entertainment. This is Daily Flash.
Hi, everybody. I am Mitch English.
I'm Andrea Jackson. This is Daily Flash, your source for trending news and entertainment.
All right, I have a question for you, Andrea, and
Okay.
Matt. You both
Oh,
have
boy.
pets. You have plenty of pets.
Yes.
You got dogs, you got horses, and that sort of thing. They surveyed 100 people, and they asked them, for $1 million, would you give up your pet?
No.
Okay. So you say absolutely not.
No. Yeah.
Okay, and Matt, you
One
say-
of the cats, yes.
So that's what I say.
My cat,
But
no.
you would have to give up. All right, so you have to give up both. It'd have to be a sacrifice.
No.
Me, yes, me, $1 million. I'm gonna buy me another.
Well, you got
cat.
cats that like attack you in the middle of the
No,
night.
well, they'll jump on. See, they asked men and women. 90% of the women said there's no way I'd ever give
Yeah.
up my pet for $1 million. Now for you, it's about $1 million a year for
Yeah,
your horses,
for the
right?
horses.
So I can understand.
So maybe I would.
Yeah, maybe for the horses, but
Maybe
I
it
did
might-
that furry
for the
friends
dog.
thing
I
where they
might
were-
just break even.
I did that furry friend story where they were saying, the most important thing in some people's life is their pet, and they're like, I take that over my cat or my kids.
Even that Chimp Crazy show,
yes.
she's saying, I love these monkeys more than I do my own kids. I'm like, man, you are screwing that kid up. All right, so $1 million. 90% of women said they would never do it. What do you think? How many percentage of for men?
90.
You say 90 as well? What say you, Maddie?
75.
He's closer to the pin. Is 60% of men said they would keep their pet over
Well, especially if they're a dog
Okay.
companion. Like I know, like guys are really close to some of their dogs.
Yeah,
like
that
they're
is
they're
true.
their life companion.
I would go, all right, well, what's going to happen to my cat? Who's going to
Yes.
get it? All right,
Yeah.
what's going to go to a nice family? Write the check now.
My mom's
I'm
gonna
a
get,
horrible person, I'll admit
My
it.
mom would get my cat, so.
All right, so there you are.
Yeah, if I could pick and choose who would get my pets,
Yeah, maybe.
I could have some visiting rights.
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I might.
$1 million.
think about it.
I mean, I know it's not a whole lot, but-
Tax free.
You can buy a lot more
Yeah, it'd be
horses.
tax-free.
Yeah, okay, you could.
$1 million.
But then it ends up costing you another $1 million to
Right,
keep them
so-
all. A Chinese aquarium is being exposed by visitors after they found out the giant whale shark in their main attraction wasn't real.
And it was cheaper than $1 million.
Yes, true.
Yes. During its opening week, the ocean attraction welcomed around 100,000 visitors who paid $40 to get into the park. Visitors were eager to check out the star attraction, a whale shark. It's considered the world's largest fish, capable of growing more than 60 feet in length. However, many visitors said they were disappointed after realizing the whale shark in the park's attraction was just a mechanical replica.
Which, you would feel really ripped off because
Yeah.
you're looking at something. I mean, granted, it might be a great representation of it, but you go to an aquarium or a zoo to see the real thing.
Yeah.
That's why it's there for. So, I think this is nothing short of fraud altogether.
Do you remember Universal Studios used to advertise the big Jaws,
Jaws, yeah,
thing,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you'd see those commercials, but you knew going into it, it's a mechanical shark,
good.
but you just want to see the mechanical shark. I think, if I understand this story correctly, they were really billing this as the real thing. So once you get in, and it's like, wait a second, this is a phony.
This is
setup.
the American version of a whale, but it's a Chinese version of the American whale because it's not real.
So in Atlanta now, do you have to go in and like poke the whale sharks that they actually have in the aquarium? Be
To
like,
see
are you
if they're
real?
real. You can now.
You're
You
real?
can,
Now
yeah.
you have to go down there and
Yeah.
swim very close to their teeth. They like to be.
And
close.
will you cover the bail, or are we just going to let him figure it out himself?
Lost arm will be
James,
enough.
you got
for
me?
I know
lost
people.
arm
I
will
know
be
people
fine.
everywhere.
James the guy.
I'll get you out. I'll get you out.
Knows the guy.
Well, imagine going to school one day as a teacher and coming home with a student, or at least a future student. It happened actually to one teacher. She went from teaching to her students to giving birth in the school's parking lot, and that's not the only thing that happens. in the
Hello.
morning. Her name is Tori Hildreth. She says that she wasn't due to give birth on that day, but her contractions became more intense, her water broke, and the baby was on the way. They tried to use that sawdust they use for puke, couldn't get it up. Right? 30-year-old teacher had just dismissed her class. Then about 10 minutes later, she was in the parking lot actually holding her baby with her mom on her
boy.
side. That is a mom. Way to go. Tori's dad happens to be the captain of the local fire department. He was one of the first responders on the scene to get there and say, I'm getting me a new grandbaby. So way to go. Teachers do so much. And, listen, she wasn't due on that day, but obviously she was getting closer to that day, which says even more about our teachers. Perfect excuse.
Yeah.
I don't feel like coming into work today. I'm pregnant. I'm about to have a baby.
Yeah.
She still did. So
And
I
she
love
still.
it.
Yeah. I mean, when babies arrive, they arrive.
They
Sometimes
arrive.
It's their own time.
Indeed. We're talking about AI podcasts, how it can help your job in the future.
From wings to wine, renowned chef, TV personality, and NFL alum Eddie Jackson is sharing his flavorful pairings for the tailgate season.
All right, so there's a few things I want to share with you to make sure that you have the ultimate tailgate. You got to keep these things in mind. First things first, casual is key, right? Don't worry about the crazy decorations. Just focus on the food and the drink. Because at the end of the day, if your team loses or if the weather is bad, everyone is still going to have a great time if you focus on just the food and the drink, right? In this case, I partnered up with Boda Box Wine, which I think is something perfect to bring to a tailgate. It's portable, it's eco-friendly, you don't need a corkscrew, and then once you open it up, it's going to stay good for 30 days. So you can take it to the next tailgate if you want to. And I've kind of worked this Boda Box brand into some of the things that I have in front of me right here today. So to start off, I have some bratwurst that I braised in some white wine. When you think about bratwurst, we automatically go to brats and beer, right? But that's another tip that I have. You really want to try to find ways to take something simple and add a little bit of high flavor to it, right? Simple, but adding high flavor elements to it. So the bratwurst have been braised in this nice, crisp and clean white wine. I think it works really well to cut through some of the fattiness and richness that bratwurst have, right? And then I took this simple slider, but I add some high flavor to it, jerk ketchup. And that's just gonna take this slider to the next level. And then lastly, you have to have chicken wings at a tailgate. It's a perfect one-hander item to have at a tailgate. You got a drink in one hand, you got the slider in the other hand, you're able to have a conversation and get involved inside of the tailgate. This is an Asian-style wing recipe that I created that has some sweet, smoky, and spicy notes to it. And I think that is something that's really good to pair with like a red blend, the Revolution from Boda Box. It's gonna play off of those sweet and smoky notes that this recipe have, right? So keep it simple, focus on the food and the drink. Do not worry about all the decorations. These are things that you wanna keep in mind if you want a home gate like a pro. Bring you some of this Boda Box wine. It's gonna be delicious. Like I said, it's portable, and you can find my delicious wing recipes at bodabox.com/football. Get those recipes, check out the greatness of Boda Box wine. Thanks for having me.
Hey, skip the SUV. You can get high-end features on less expensive sedans.
Today, many shoppers are beginning to realize that you don't need a huge, pricey, truck-based SUV just to get around every day. According to Kelley Blue Book, the average transaction price of new cars is down slightly, and part of the reason is that people are just buying less expensive cars. For example, the base price on a Nissan Sentra is under $25,000. This SR version has a new look front and rear and is $28,200, including 18-inch wheels, a rear spoiler, and optional two-tone paint. Inside, there are features like heated leather seats, a heated steering wheel, power moonroof, and a Bose audio system. Automakers like Honda, Hyundai, Kia, and Toyota have cars with similar value. Skip the SUV and get a small sedan.
Fast food giant McDonald's, aka the Golden Arches, has earned the highest marks for its French fries.
Oh, yes.
The top 5 best fast food fries for 2024 are, well, of course, McDonald's, followed by Wendy's. Number 3 comes in Arby's curly fries.
Ooh.
Burger King comes in, followed by Chick-fil-A, their fries.
The waffle fries.
Yeah, the waffle fries, they offer, you can have either, right? But even still, I know to this day, you go to Wendy's and you get a Frosty. And then you go to the McDonald's and get you the
French
fries
fries.
and you dip it in there.
Yeah.
And I think Wendy's knew that.
Yeah.
And so they go, we got to up our fries somehow.
Yeah.
So they, I think, keep the skin on theirs too.
The
Like
Wendy's does?
Yeah. You
Okay.
ever tried those?
Yeah,
before?
I remember having the Wendy's fries with the Frosty.
Right.
That was like a high school
It was a thing
yeah.
that you always did,
Yeah,
no matter what,
which
right?
Is weird, but I'm surprised somebody hasn't marketed an ice cream with French fries and chocolate.
That's an idea. That's our $1 million
We're back
idea.
right
I'm buying
after
it right
this.
now. Hey, welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Mitch English. Get this, by the year 2034, there will be no more 9-to-5 jobs due to the gig economy and AI. Who said that? LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman. And if you're in denial, just listen to this. AI has actually reached a point where you can create a deep dive discussion podcast using 2 AI hosts that are so real, you might actually be looking at one right now. I'm real, trust me. I would look much better if I was an AI. Anna Alcheck, she is the trending business and tech reporter for Business Insider, here to talk about this new AI tool. It's amazing, Anna. I think when I hear it, this podcast, the example that they had, it sounds so real. When I see it, it's, oh, you can kind of tell. But what has really inspired Google to develop the Notebook LM and to integrate AI-powered audio overviews into their platform?
Yeah, so it's definitely a really cool tool. Google said in its original blog post introducing audio overviews that Notebook LM is really built to help you break down complex information. And it does that by giving you various formats like study guides, briefing documents, summarizations. And then the audio overview is just one more way to do that. And then, when I was doing my reporting for Business Insider on this, I spoke with Notebook LM's product lead, Riza Martin, and she was talking about how this personalized AI generation is a really important aspect of it. So that's the idea that you can kind of curate the kind of content you want and kind of steer these AI models to fit a particular context. And now with the recent update from last week, you can even do that even more. You can now add custom instructions to these audio overviews. So basically giving you the ability to find an interesting topic and then create content around that.
Well, how do you see this or envision it actually changing the way that we consume our podcast content?
Yeah, so I think it's already kind of changed the way we're looking at podcasts. So originally you would, listen to a podcast to get information, and you can still do that, but now you can kind of find your own information that you're interested in and then create a podcast about that on demand. So it's that on-demand iteration of a podcast. And then secondly, not only can you still get information from a podcast, but I think something really interesting about this is you can now use that podcast to help relay information. So an interesting part of my conversation with Riza Martin, as I mentioned previously, is that, she said that she now has Google colleagues who are actually using, who are uploading their own decks, and then they're creating the audio overview. And they're listening to how the hosts are talking about different topics and introducing new points. And then they're using that for presentation. So this idea that you can now use podcasts to help inspire the way you present information, I think that's new. And I think that's a really interesting new way that hasn't been unlocked by podcasts.
We found
before.
a podcast that actually uses that AI. We want to see if people could tell the difference. Watch this.
Ever find yourself wishing you had an extra pair of hands? Or maybe like a super smart research assistant who could just whip through information for you.
Yeah, actually, that's something I think about a lot.
Well, today we are diving into Google's Notebook LM. It's an AI tool, and it kind of sounds like it could be that research assistant we dream of.
I'm intrigued. An AI research assistant? What does it even mean?
All right, well, in what ways do you actually see Notebook LM benefiting, say, the podcaster creators and the listeners, especially like maybe in the terms of accessibility and content discovery?
Yeah, so I think people who are audio learners, podcast enthusiasts, this will be a new way for them to listen to content, more regularly. Use it as a study guide, use it as prep for a meeting, whatever it is. But I also see this benefiting creators as well. Like I said, I think that they can use it as inspiration for how they script their content. But I really think that, when we listen to podcasts on our own, when we're going to different shows and listening to them, it's not necessarily competing with what this product is offering. We still have influencers or podcast hosts that we like to listen to, and this is more so.
100%. It's going to change everything, and I appreciate you, Anna, reporting on this. And if you want more information about AI and the industry, it'll really just take over. Head over to businessinsider.com to check that out.
Great stuff, Mitch. Well, with the fall season underway, the Risk Less, Do More public education campaign is informing the public about common respiratory viruses and available vaccines. Here's Dr. Mandy Cohen of the CDC with more.
This report is sponsored by the Risk Less, Do More public education campaign from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. As we get into the fall and winter, respiratory infections can rise. Now, more than ever, it's crucial to protect yourself and your loved ones from serious illness by getting this season's flu, COVID, and RSV vaccines. Dr. Mandy Cohen, director of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, has more.
Flu, COVID, and RSV vaccines help people risk less severe illness and do more of what they enjoy by keeping symptoms mild and keeping you and your loved ones out of the hospital. Updated flu and COVID vaccines are now available for everyone 6 months and older, If you're pregnant, age 75 or older, or age 60 or older with certain health conditions, add the RSV immunization this season to your COVID and flu shot.
Visit vaccines.gov to get started today. Or for more information about respiratory illnesses, go to cdc.gov/risk less, do more.
Well, the holidays and the new year, it's approaching. Everyone's always looking at updating their home appliances. Here's nutritious Joy Bauer.
Hi, and thank you for having me. And I sure do spend a lot of time in my kitchen. It's basically my office, my food laboratory, my hangout space, and the heartbeat of my house. And of course, the resale value of our homes will always be there with top-notch, reliable appliances. So with that in mind, LG is ranked the #1 appliance brand in the US and was named one of America's most reliable line of home appliances by Consumer Reports. So what's new in the kitchen? From ranges to refrigerators, their appliances are beautiful and they're sleek, and they're also equipped with really cool, innovative features like AI technology and Wi-Fi compatibility. In other words, right from your smartphone, when you download their Think Q app, you could start to warm up the oven when you're on your way home in the car from work or when you're driving a carpool, or you could even check what's in your fridge and whether or not you need to stop at the market and pick up milk. And their ranges are truly unique. This one has 2 high-power elements and 2 low-power ones, so it could not only bring water to a near boil quickly, I'm thinking about pasta, but will also simmer my tomato sauce without scalding it. And it's fantastic for baking and even broiling. Now, because I spend so much time in the kitchen playing with food, you know that I'm also intimate with the laundry room. Imagine my sauce splatters, soup spills. Listen, if there's a mess to be made, trust me, it has happened in my kitchen. LG consistently stands out for its beloved full-size washers and electric dryers, like this pair. They both have built-in intelligence that selects optimal wash or dry settings for you. So it takes all of the guesswork out of doing your laundry. You just tell it your load size and it will literally figure out how much water is needed for the wash and how much heat and time duration is needed for the dryer. It is so incredibly cool. You can go to lg.com to check out all their amazing products, and you could also find them at your local retailers.
Hey, welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Mitch English. It is officially the Halloween season, and the crafty lumberjacks have you covered with tips and tricks to achieve the Halloween immortality.
Hello, thanks for having us. I'm Dennis.
I'm Andrew.
We are known as the Crafty Lumberjacks. We've been crafting our entire lives.
Yes.
My parents were crafters. My dad was a carpenter. My mom was a quilter and a crafter. And I think just being a curious child, I was always willing to help them out and learn from them. And I've been crafting ever since.
Yes, and I have a very similar story with my parents. And we just love crafting so much. We try to incorporate it in our everyday life.
Yes, Halloween is one of our favorite times of the year. Oh, yeah. And we always say it's all about those personal details that are going to help elevate your Halloween season. We always say, if you got it, haunt it. But you want to creep it easy for yourself. Yes. And the way to do that is with Cricut Joy Extra. You can see a lot of the projects we have here on the table we made with this smart cutting machine. Although it's small, it can cut up to 50 different types of materials.
Yes, and it is nice and compact on purpose, meaning you don't need a craft room for it. You can put it anywhere. We live in a 1-bedroom apartment. We store it on our shelf. We bring it out anytime we need some extra crafty help. And you know, this comes with Design Space, which is a software, and as you can see, everything on the table are images from Design Space. So you can pick through hundreds and hundreds of images, which are gonna spark ideas, spark inspiration.
Yes, and you know, every Halloween we host a Halloween party. This is about our 9th year in a row,
yes.
And it's been the event of the season. All our friends and family ask us throughout the year, what are you doing this year? When are you doing? What is the date? They wanna get it set, and they like it so much because each year we have a different theme, and we're able to do that with our Cricut because we can customize just about anything you could think of, from our napkins to our cups. We even give our guests a little water bottle on the way out that has a little date on it and
yes.
the theme of the party.
Yes, and you know, one of our favorite things are these candelabras right here. These are just store-bought LED candles, and then we had the Cricut cut out little vinyl bats. We place them with stickers. This is so great because it elevates the candles, and you can peel them off and add different vinyls for any holiday. We did the same thing with these no-carve pumpkins, with these spiders. It's really about, like Dennis said, creeping it easy.
Yes, and if you want more inspiration, you can follow us across the social media, Crafty Lumberjacks, or to learn more about the Cricut and some of the materials that you see here, you can go to Cricut.com.
You know, the trick-or-treaters, they always come by. We always buy way too much candy. Are you one of those as well?
Of course, and then, you know, you eat more of it than you hand out.
Hopefully nobody will catch on to that
Yeah,
with us.
exactly.
That's how we get our candy. Y'all take care. Thanks for joining us.
Be good, everybody. We'll see you later. DailyFlashShow.com.